What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel, and as you guys can probably tell by my expression, I'm honestly salty as fuck right now. So before I get into this video, I'm pretty salty right now because last night I couldn't watch SmackDown on what was supposed to have been known as Fox LA. Because for some reason, I went onto the Fox Now app on my Fire Stick, which, here's my remote, and it said Fox 5 San Diego. Now, I don't know if that's, I think, in my opinion, I don't know if that's my cable provider's doing, which I don't think it is. I think that's Fox's doing. I don't know what's going on with Fox. I honestly don't. But I was forced to watch SmackDown last night in Spanish. Little did I not realize that what I could have done was watch SmackDown today and wait. I could have done that, but I decided, being the dumbass that I am, I chose not to. So, by the time you guys see this, I'm gonna be watching SmackDown again, but finally with the English commentary team. Luckily, I was able to send Fox some feedback about that, and hopefully they get it fixed. So, Fox, if you guys are watching this, get your shit fixed, get your shit together, because I don't know what the hell happened. I don't know what's going on. Not only is that happening, but my cable provider, which is Dish, big shout out, no copyrights, of course, recently, over the last few weeks, got cyber hacked. And yeah, I couldn't watch Raw. What was it, a couple weeks ago? I couldn't watch Raw on the USA Network app. I believe I was able to watch NXT the next day. It was just, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. 2023 has been a very has been off to a rough start for me, to say the very least. I think now Fox has been hacked themselves. So, Fox, if you're watching this, get your fucking shit together. And instead of Fox San Diego, why not have Fox LA once again? So, I think what I'm going to do, until that gets fixed, I won't be watching SmackDown on Friday night. I'm going to be watching it the very next day. I think that's probably my best option, just because of the fact that it's kind of bullshit that this is happening to me. This is kind of bullshit. I don't know if you guys are having that same problem. If you guys are, let me know down in the comments. Let me know. Let me know. And yeah, this is I don't know. Shit's gone crazy, man. Shit's gone crazy. But with that being said, I am a little salty, but here we are. Positive energy with another video, but this one's a bit different. And as you guys can tell by the title of the video, yeah, I actually went there. I actually decided to build a Kashtira deck. Now, this deck is actually based on the top 16 YCS deck that took part at the YCS recently in Las Vegas. And this one is a bit different than normal. I know that some decks were actually main decking Nibiru. Some decks were main decking actually had Zeus in their extra deck, which is kind of bizarre, but it makes sense being as the fact that you want to try and prevent your opponent from having any zones whatsoever. So that's basically the idea of the Kashtira deck, is to make sure that your opponent does not get any zones whatsoever, and that they're forced to break, that they're forced to scoop. Plain and simple. So hopefully you guys are ready for this deck profile. If you guys are, and you guys want to see more deck profiles like this in the future, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and follow me on all of my social media, especially my Instagram, because I always post the deck lists of all of my decks on Instagram. So make sure you guys follow me there, and the rest of my social media. The link, all of my ads will be in the description below. And of course, as always, if you guys have any fan mail you guys want to send me, which you guys can send me whatever you guys want. It could be letters, could be cards, whatever you guys want to send me. If you guys want to send me fan mail, the info will be in the description as well. So let's get straight into it. Kicking these off with obviously the Kashtira 7-star monster. So some decks were actually running one of only 2 cards and then 3 of the other 2. My build consists of 2 Ogre, 3 Unicorn, 3 Fenrir, 2 Scareclaw Kashtira, and 2 Kashtira Rise Heart. That's my Kashtira lineup. Kashtira Ogre, I believe all of the Kashtira 7-star monsters have the exact same effect, where you're able to special summon themselves from the hand. However, the only difference is that Scareclaw's first effect says during the main phase, as a quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand and ban it. And if you do, banish a Kashtira or a Scareclaw card from your hand or grave. The other 3 monsters, the other 3 7-star monsters have the same effect, where it reads, if you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. But each of them has their own separate effect. Ogre's effect reads as follows. During your main phase, you can add 1 Kashtira trap from your deck to your hand. When this card declares an attack, or if your opponent activates a monster effect except during the damage step, you can excavate up to 5 cards from the top of your opponent's deck, banish 1 excavated card face down, and place the rest on the bottom of the deck in the same order. Unicorn's effect reads that you're able to add a Kashtira spell from your deck to your hand, and Fenrir lets you add a Kashtira monster from your deck to your hand. Scareclaw's effect reads as follows. If this card can attack while in face-up defense position. If it does, apply its defense for damage Cal. If your Kashtira or Scareclaw monster battles an opponent's monster, that opponent's monster's effects are negated until the end of the turn. So the idea of this is to utilize the effect of Kashtira Birth and just go special summon Ogre, normal summon Unicorn, and you instantly have a rank 7, which is pretty awesome. So you're able to just spam the board with with a bunch of level 7s go into your rank 7s, and you're able to just combo up from there, and you basically just have game on board, which is insanity. Now, Kashtira Rise Heart's effect, which reads as follows: If you control a Kashtira monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except Exceeds monsters for the rest of the turn. During your main phase, if this card was normal or special summon this turn, you can banish one Kashtira card from your deck except this card, banish the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck face down, and if you banish any, this card's level becomes 7. Can only use each effect once per turn. So basically, with all of these Kashtira monsters, you're basically just able to go into your rank 7s, and you just combo off from there, and you basically just have game on board, which is pretty nasty. It's pretty fucking nasty. And then for the rest of the monsters, I've got 2 Ash Blossom, and 2 Ghost Spell, just for a little bit of negation in the hand, which is pretty nice. And what's even cool about this is that especially with the extra deck, trust me guys, once you get a look at the extra deck, it's nasty. It is nasty. And there are actually two different ways that you can go about with your board. You can go the Exceed route, or you can go to a different route, which we will get to a little later on. And once you get a look at the spells, you'll have an idea of how nasty this deck can really be. So for the spells, I have 1 Instant Fusion, 1 Ready Fusion, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, and 2 Mass Change 2. Yeah, Mass Heroes are in this, but the question is, which Mass Heroes are there? You guys will have to wait and find out. Guys. Next up, we have 3 copies of Kashtira Theosis. This card is absolutely nasty. So its effect reads: target 1 Kashtira monster you control, special summon 1 Kashtira monster with a different attribute from your deck in defense. And for the rest of the turn, after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except Exceeds monsters. If this card is banished, you can target 1 of your banished Kashtira cards except this card added to your hand. Yeah. So basically, the idea is to ensure that you have enough monsters to go into your rank 7s. But obviously nowadays, obviously with how powerful this deck is, your opponent is gonna end up activating cards like such as Dimensional Barrier, which can prevent you from summoning Exceeds monsters, which is a bit of a downfall, which is a bit of a downside to this. But what's cool is that there are ways that you can go into the rest of your extra deck, which, again, you guys will know once we get into the extra deck, which is going to be pretty nasty. Moving on with the rest of the spells, we got 2 Book of Moon, 2 Forbidden Chalice, 2 Forbidden Lance, 3 Kashtira Birth, and 3 Pressured Planet Raitsoth. I believe is how it's pronounced. Kashtira Birth's effect reads that you can normal summon a level 7. You can normal summon level 7 monsters without attributing, which is absolutely nasty. So the idea would be special summon Ogre, trigger its effect, get out Kashtira preparations, which we'll get to its effect a little later on. Activate Kashtira Theosis, special summon Unicorn, trigger its effect, add I'll say Kashtira Birth, and then you activate Kashtira Birth, and if you have Kashtira Fenrir in your hand, you can normal summon the Fenrir, and then go into and then special summon Rise Heart from your hand if you have it. Trigger its effect. Send I'll say banish another copy of Kashtira Birth. Kashtira Rise Heart becomes level 7, and you instantly have not one but 2 rank 7s right off the bat, which is absolutely nasty. Now, Kashtira Birth has another effect which reads, during your main phase, you can special summon one of your non-Xyz Kashtira monsters that is banished or in your graveyard. So it's sort of like a spell version of Call the Haunted, which is absolutely nasty. It is nasty, absolutely nuts. And then it has another effect which reads, if your opponent activates a spell or effect, and you control a Kashtira monster, target 3 cards in your opponent's grave, banish them face down. You can only use each effect once per turn. So this is sort of like a trip. This is basically like having 3 copies of Called By, which is absolutely nuts. So it's basically, it's like having 9 copies of Called By, which is pretty nasty. And then Pressure Planet is actually a field spell that says that upon the card being activated, which has a win effect, unfortunately, you can add a Kashtira monster from your deck to your hand, and all monsters you control gain 100 attacking defense for each different attribute on the field. And if a Kashtira Shangri-Era you control activates an effect except during the damage step, target a card on the field and destroy it. Can only use this effect once per turn. So what's cool about this is that this card is an easy way to break boards and to be able to just combo off right off the bat. And if you have 3 copies of Shangri-Era on board, you're gonna have quite the interesting board, to say the very least. It'll be quite the interesting board, if you will. But I will admit, once you get a look at the traps, because I only have 4, it's gonna be pretty nasty, to say the very least. So for the traps, I've got one Kashtira Big Bang, which is sort of a brick, if you will. It's better if you didn't hard draw it. It's better if you searched it, so that way when you set it, your opponent can just activate a card like, say, Cosmic Cyclone, and it gets banished, and then you're able to trigger off its effect. So Big Bang's effect reads if a Kashtira Xyz monster is on the field and a player controls 2 or more monsters, they must banish monsters they control face down, so they only control 1 monster. So it's sort of like an evenly matched of sorts, which is kind of okay, but here's the crazy part. If you're the only person that has more than 1 monster, that's pretty bad for you. So that's why I considered it a break. But it does have a second effect that reads, if this card is banished, you can target a Kashtira Xyz monster control, add one of your Kashtira monsters attached to it to your hand, then you can special summon that monster from your hand. So what's cool about this is that if you have, let's say, Shangri-Era on board, and you have, let's say, Fenrir attached to it, you can add the Fenrir to your hand, special summon it, and if you have yet another Kashtira Xyz monster on board, you can overlay them into yet another Shangri-Era, or you can go into a number 89 Diablosis the Mind Hacker, and you can just combo off there, which is pretty fucking awesome. Then we got 2 copies of Kashtira Preparations, which this card is actually pretty nuts. So its effect reads, during either player's turn, you can special summon one of your Kashtira monsters that is banished or in your hand. So it's sort of like a Cyber Ref system, like DDR of sorts, which is pretty nice. And it also says, and this card is already its other effect reads, if your opponent activates a trap card or effect, you control a Kashtira monster, and this card is already face up in your spell and trap zone. You can look at your opponent's hand and banish one card from it face down. Yeah, so basically, so the idea of this deck is to banish cards not just from your opponent's graveyard, but from their hand, their board, their main deck, and their extra deck off of the effects of number 89, because number 89 lets you banish cards from your opponent's extra deck, which is absolutely nasty. And then I am also running a very odd card, but it's only in here as a way to stop cards such as enemy controller, book of Eclipse, and just any other spell in general that can stop this deck, and that is Judgment of Anubis. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. You guys are thinking, wait a minute, why this card? Well, it's as I said, it's a way to ensure that your plays actually go through. And it's a way to ensure that cards such as Harpy's Feather Duster, Book of Eclipse, Book of Moon, or anything like that, actually does not go through. So if your opponent activates a card like, say, Book of Eclipse, and to try and break your board, Judgment of Anubis will be there to ensure that Book of Eclipse does not trigger, and you're able to keep your board intact, which is pretty nuts. It's that damn good, to be honest. And I actually just realized that maybe I shouldn't. Okay, I'm actually gonna do something different here. Hang on, guys. I had something here. I'm actually gonna do this. Okay, there we go. Sorry, guys. I realized that there was a card that I had. There were 2 copies of a card that I had on the side, and then I shouldn't have put it in the side. So I took them out and I replaced them with something else. I apologize, but we are back. We're back, and I apologize, but that is pretty much it for the main deck. Now for the extra deck. There are 2 ways you can go about with this, with your board. You can either go into the Xyz route, which my Xyz lineup consists of 3 Kashtira Shangri Era, 1 number 11 Big Eye, 1 number 89 Diablosis the Mind Hacker, a Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, and 2 Kashtira Arise Heart. Shangri Era's effect, reads as follows: during each standby phase, you can special summon 1 Kashtira monster, from your deck. Pretty crazy. Just off of that effect alone, it's pretty crazy. But it has another effect that reads: each time a card or cards your opponent owns and possesses is banished face down, except during the damage tab, you can choose 1 unused main monster zone or spell and trap zone. It cannot be used while this monster is face up on the field. If this card on the field would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can detach one material from this card instead. So what's cool about this is that if you have number 89, think about this. Number 89's effect lets you banish cards from your opponent's extra deck, and Shangri-La's effect triggers, which is absolutely nuts. So the idea of the extra deck board would be one of three ways. Either A would be number 89 triple Shangri-La, or you can go double Shangri-La, one Arise Heart, one Flare Metal Dragon, and a Diablos the Mind Hacker, or you can go one Shangri-La, double Arise Heart, Flare Metal Dragon, and a Big Eye. So the combinations of your Xyz board are absolutely insane. But the big question becomes, what if your opponent activates a card like, say, Dimensional Barrier, and they target Xyz monsters? What do you do? Well, that's where the rest of the extra deck comes in, because I am running one copy of Ancient Fairy Dragon, one Baron de Fleur, one Psychic and Punisher, and for my instant fusion ready fusion targets, I have Magic Key Beast and Ciala Bolus, and a sea monster of Thesis, and for my Mass Change 2 targets, I have Master Hero Acid and Master Hero Divine Wind. So if the Xyz lineup doesn't work, but you want to try and go into your Synchro Fusion plays, the board would be Divine Wind, Acid, Psychic and Punisher, and Baron. And Baron and Ancient Fairy Dragon. Fairy Dragon would be in here as a way to destroy a field spell that's different from your Pressure Planet, and you're able to add Pressure Planet to your hand, which is really nice. Baron is essentially an Omni Negate, which is pretty nice. Psychic and Punisher. What's cool about this is that if you have let's say Rise Heart on board, you can target both Rise Heart and any monster that your opponent may have, and you banish them right off the bat, which is really nice. Master Hero Acid is basically is like running a second Feather Duster, which is pretty cool, which is actually pretty nice. And then Divine Wind is only in here as a way to stop your opponent from attacking you for game. So if they have game on board, and you have, let's say, Unicorn on board as the only monster you have on board, you can go Mass Change 2, send a copy of I'll say Pressure Planet, send Unicorn to your grave, special summon Divine Wind, and your opponent can only attack with one monster, and as long as Divine Wind is the only monster the one monster that they have on board that can't be destroyed in battle, you're pretty much good to go, which is pretty nice. So again, there are two ways you can go about it, but the side deck is a bit nuts. So for my side deck, I have two copies of Nibiru the Primal Being as a way to stop any bullshit that your opponent may have. So if you're in a mirror match, let's say for example, you can actually go and your opponent overcommits to their board. Once you reach once you reach the main phase 2, because it says during the main phase, if your opponent normal is supposed to summon 5 or more monsters this turn, tribute them off and special summon this card from your hand and summon a Primal Being token to your board, to your opponent's board. So it's sort of like a much more better version of a kaiju, if you will, which is pretty nuts. Then of course we have 2 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, again mainly for the mirror matches, which is pretty nice. Then, if let's say for example, the Psychic and Punisher, the Baron, or the Ancient Fairy Dragon doesn't work out so well, or if your Xyz lineup doesn't work out that well, I am also running a single copy of Draco Berserker of the Tenny and a Side Frame Lord Omega. The reason why I've got the Omega in here is just in case if you have a bunch of cards banished, you can put them back into your graveyard and you can resummon them off of the effects of a Kashtira Preparations, and you can just combo off from there, go into a Psychic and Punisher or a Baron, depending on what you have at your disposal, if you will, which is pretty nice. Then for the spells, we have a single copy of Change of Heart, 2 Lightning Storm just in case if the Heartbeat's Feather Duster doesn't work out and you end up breaking from it, you can instantly side it out into a Lightning Storm, which is pretty nice. And then we got 2 copies of Enemy Controller. Now I know it's a bit of an odd card to use, but this is basically a much more better version of Change. This is basically Change of Heart Zero Gravity, which is pretty nice. Then of course we have two more we have the other 2 copies of Judgment of Anubis, mainly as a way, it's mainly in here in case if the Kashtira Big Bang and let's say the Chalice or the Lances are bricks, you can basically sign them out for the other 2 copies of Judgment of Anubis, which is pretty nice. And to round out the deck itself, we have 2 copies of Solemn Warning to round out the entire deck itself. So honestly, guys, this is a pretty nasty deck. I did some extensive test playing with this deck, including the top 16 one, and I have to say this is a pretty nasty deck. This is absolutely nasty. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this deck profile. If you guys did and you guys want more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, smash that thumbs up button, turn on the notification bell, because we are literally 51 subs away from 200. And if you guys have seen my previous videos and have seen the last post I made on the community tab, you guys already know what's up. 200 subs, 200 subscribers, I open up my Korean Strike and Neos box. 1,000 subscribers, I open up the Toon Chaos box that I still have. And also, too, guys, make sure you guys follow me on all of my social media. My ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.